Hello. Hello, everyone. My name is David Luba. I am the co-founder of an apparel brand called Tentree. Tentree has been working with PCNA for just over a year now, and for every item we sell, we plant 10 trees. We are a restorative business. We plant trees around the world, and we exist to reforest the planet. We started Tentree in 2012, and before Tentree, my business partners and I had a carbon offset business. We planted trees, we sold carbon credits to large carbon emitters, and that was really before the carbon market really materialized. We saw an opportunity to create a restorative business that gave each and every one the opportunity to plant trees and give back to the planet. Since 2012, we have now planted over 70 million trees. Out of those 70 million, 40 million have come in the last 2.5 years. Together, just in the last year, Tentree and PCNA and all the partners involved have planted over 4 million trees. And it's our goal to plant 1 billion trees by 2030. So what does 1 billion trees look like? Well, I'm going to use the Pittsburgh analogy because the Steelers just made the playoffs, luckily. 1 billion trees is 5 times the Pittsburgh greater area of forest. So it's pretty incredible the impact that we're having. And these trees are not only cleaning our air, but they're employing thousands of people around the world, giving people a hand up out of poverty. And these trees are also restoring biodiversity and animal habitats around the globe. So what makes Tentree unique? Okay, our name's Tentree. We plant 10 trees. Big deal. I could go and start tree 11 or 5 tree or 10 shrub. What really makes us unique? Well, trees is one of those components. We started as a tree planting company first with the experience tree planting and selling carbon offsets. So we started first as a tree planting company. We started off as a restorative company. Next is the tree registry. So how do we make ourselves unique? We plant these trees. Every item comes with a hang tag that has a QR code. When you register that code, you find out where in the world those 10 trees are planted, who planted those trees, and the benefits in those areas. We've mapped out our reforestation areas with a software that's backed by blockchain technology, so we know exactly which trees are Tentrees, which trees are PCNAs, and which trees are the partners of PCNA that are investing in Tentree. We took a fully circular and vertical approach to our design, which I'll kind of dive into each of these. Our manufacturing is among the best in the world. We've 124 B Corp score, which is leading our industry. We've got an incredible brand and community with over 2.3 million Instagram followers and world-class retailers across North America. And we provide a very good customer experience, right from shipping your product to you not in a poly bag with biodegradable packaging, and the list goes on. So when you think about Tentree, we're more than just a brand that plants 10 trees. We are leading the restorative business movement. Each and every one of these things on their own is easy to replicate, but when together, when you look at the trees we're planting, the infrastructure, the auditing, the tree registry code, the customer experience, the manufacturing approach, and our leading B Corp score, those are not easy to replicate, and it creates this halo effect that gives Tentree an incredible competitive advantage among other brands in the restorative space. So where do we plant these trees? We've got over 12 planting sites around the world. One of our largest sites is Madagascar. We've planted trees in US, in Canada, in Brazil, and all of these sites have a unique story. In Mexico, it's a new site, it's not up here yet, we're planting trees around the monarch butterfly reserve that's helping the monarchs, which are going extinct because forest is illegally getting cut down. In Brazil and Peru, we're planting trees to avoid landslides. So all of these stories are unique, and they all have their unique attributes, which is what we do when we connect the consumer and your employees with the impact they're making. I'm going to talk a little bit about Madagascar. It's a planting site I visited right before the pandemic happened. And Madagascar is a small island off the shore of Africa. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of the Disney movie Madagascar and all the characters. And it's named the Red Island because there's been so much deforestation in Madagascar that the shorelines are actually eroding. A lot of mangrove trees were cut down. A lot of trees have been burnt to create coal. A lot of trees were cut down so they could use it for building materials. So it's called the Red Island. So we traveled to Madagascar, and the purpose of our trip was to audit the trees that we're planting in Madagascar. This is our tree auditing software. It's called VeriTree. 1 out of every 10 tree planters has a cell phone, and it tracks where they're tree planting that day. They take photos, they fill out a form, and they submit that form when they're in the field. We then have polygons mapped out on Google Earth, so we can see the forests that we're creating. We can make sure that they're planted in the right polygons, and we can measure the impact over time. Those are the forests that are then locked by blockchain technology, so each of the areas has its own unique attributes, so we know that these trees are exclusively tentrees. So the purpose of our trip was to audit the forests. We flew there, security was like, what are you doing with all these cell phones? Like, what are you planning an attack in Madagascar? We definitely had a challenge getting through security. And we finally made it to our planting village, which is Mahabana, outside of the local area in Mahajanga in Madagascar. After about 30 hours of flying and a helicopter ride here, we landed in our planting village. As we got out of the helicopter, all of our bags and belongings I thought they were getting stolen. Locals were coming up and grabbing our stuff and taking our stuff, and I was freaking out. I'm in a foreign country. I don't have any cell service. There's no police. We're getting surrounded by villagers. But what I found out is they were so hospitable and so excited to have us there to show off the work we were doing. They made sure to be there and take all of our stuff and take us to the nicest hut in town to really put us up. We got out of the helicopter. They welcomed us with this song and dance. They walked us down this aisle, welcome to Mahabana, and it was almost like I was getting married again. It was incredible. So these are the trees we plant in this village. This village used to be a fishing village, and they deforested all of the trees, not knowing that when the mangrove trees are cut down, the fish will leave. When the fish leave, they can't secure food. When they can't secure food, they can't eat, they can't survive. So when we went to Madagascar, when we went to Mahabana, about 10 years ago, there were 20 people in this village, 20 individuals. Now, 2 years ago when I went there, we've got 2,000 people that are all employed by tentree, that are all planting trees, that are bringing the food back so they can feed themselves, they can feed their family. And this is all because of the support tentree has gotten from its community, from PCNA, from the businesses that are supporting tentree and PCNA. This is what those purchases are contributing to. We walked around the mangrove fields, and I thought this was going to be about a 45-minute ordeal. No, they wanted us to see every single area they reforested. And I've never seen anyone take so much pride in the work as these impoverished Malagasy people that are tree planting to restore their areas. The food and the animals that we're helping in Madagascar are pretty incredible. These are endangered species. They're fruit bats. National Geographic was actually in Madagascar trying to find the fruit bats to do a show on them. They couldn't locate them. And our villagers took us out to show us 2 fruit bat nests that are living in some of the first trees we planted 10 years ago when we started the brand. The Sawtooth Shark is an endangered species. It's now living in the estuaries we've created from the 20 million trees that have been planted here in Madagascar. And apparently, lobster and crab is considered poor man's food in Madagascar. I was looking at this fresh lobster and crab, really excited to have a bite out of it, and they did not want to give it to us. We were their guests, and they wanted to give us the fish there, which is more challenging to get. So all in all, when we look at what we've done in Madagascar with the restoration efforts we've done, we've seen a village of 20 people that were struggling to survive go to 2,000 individuals that are thriving. There are 2 tree planters here that tree plant with tentree. Mama Nada on the right tree plants during the day, and she takes those funds from tree planting, and in the evenings, she started her own little convenience store for the village. She takes the money from the convenience store, and she uses that to put her daughter through school. She takes the money from tree planting to fund her own life, to fund her daughter's food, shelter, etc. But now Mama Nada's daughter is going to school in Mahajanga, and before tentree, they were both struggling to survive. So we took an individual that was thinking about where they're going to get their next fish, and now we've been able to give them the ability to dream of a better future, to dream of education, and to really move things forward. On the left here, thanks. This is Roeza Stone. We called this Starbucks Mahabana. She started a little coffee shop. So every morning we woke up and had some sand in our coffee, and we enjoyed her coffee. We paid her a full price. We gave her a really good tip. Rosea Stone is also a tree planter that started a coffee shop with her and one other individual in the village of Mahabana in Madagascar. So the last thing I wanted to kind of leave you with here is when you think about giving people a hand up out of poverty, giving them an opportunity, and giving them the ability to help themselves and help the planet, it's pretty impactful and pretty amazing what people can do. It's a lot more impactful than handouts and stuff, because we're actually giving these people their livelihood, we're giving them purpose, we're giving them the ability to dream about something bigger than staying alive. And this football here, I'm going to kind of go back to the Pittsburgh Steelers, my favorite team. We brought a football, and they're all about soccer in Madagascar, so we were playing football on the beach. And every night we'd go to bed, we'd hear the kids come up to our tent and take this football, which they've never seen before, and they'd go on the beach and they'd be throwing it around and playing football, and we taught them how to do this. So when we left the village, we left this Wilson football there at like the closing ceremonies, and who knows if it'll still be there when we go back, but we left it. It was pretty incredible. So that's the tree planting. We go to our sites, we make sure trees are being planted, we plant around the world. This is the tree registry. You scan your code, you find out where your 10 trees are planted, who planted the trees, and you learn about the impact we're having, much like I just kind of shared with you. So we've got the tree planting, the tree registry to really inspire and connect people with our impact. The next is design. When we look at our tentree product, the primary and secondary fabrics are eco-friendly. The pocket liners are eco-friendly. We use coconut buttons. We use recycled zippers. We use cork instead of leather. Leather is not vegan. Leather is less sustainable than cork. So we always use primary and secondary fabrics and use the most sustainable product and materials we can find. When you look at our manufacturing, we are climate neutral certified, so we have offset through buying carbon credits, scope 1, 2, and 3 carbon emissions, so tentree is fully climate neutral. We are cradle to cradle certified. A number of our products are cradle to cradle certified. They're biodegradable, as well as the entire supply chain has been mapped out to ensure we are using the most sustainable options throughout the supply chain. We use a lot of fair trade certified fabric, and on our website we also have a factory ledger. So you can see where all of our factories are, you can see the accreditation, and we're also partnering with an organization to use blockchain technology to map out where all the materials come. So we're going a step further down the supply chain. Here's our B Corp score. So we're second to Patagonia, but we've definitely really made this a focus. How do we improve our B Corp score and really lead the industry? We've got an incredible brand and community. We've got a blog that gets over 1 million views per year. We've got Instagram with over 2.3 million followers, and our community is very active and excited about what we're doing. We've got an incredible network and community of retailers around Canada, as well as here in the US, that are brand advocates. And we have a great customer experience. When you receive your product online, you will get a biodegradable package. When you receive your product from PCNA, you will get your product roll wrapped with a little bit of biodegradable twine. So we don't use plastic, we don't use poly bags. And it's been incredible to see how much the PCNA team has really embraced sustainability and worked with us on our sustainability practices. And we're sharing notes to try to make sure we're using the most sustainable material always. Here's our retail pop-up shop in Vancouver. It's the most sustainable store ever. The floor is made from recycled bike tires. We collected locally in Vancouver. The wood you see on the wall, that is from a deconstructed tree that was fell down from natural causes. The moss wall there, that's sustainably sourced from local artists. The hangers in our store were from Habitat for Humanity. The mannequins are biodegradable in our store. And everyone who comes through the store has the ability to plant a tree by scanning this QR code and filling out some information. So when you take a step back and look at this store, we really wanted to show the world what the most sustainable retail store looks like. So at the end of the day, 10 trees, we plant 10 trees for every item. You can replicate that, but can you replicate every single thing we do that makes tentree the most authentic restorative brand in the world? Tentree isn't an apparel brand that plants trees. Tentree is a tree planting company that sells apparel. More than that, we are a platform to make saving the planet simple. That's it. Thank you.